Let's be real for a second. For a lot of businesses, safety training feels like a chore, right? It's that annual video you have to sit through, that checklist you gotta finish just to stay compliant. But what if I told you that thinking about it that way is actually one of the most expensive mistakes your company could possibly make?
So I'll just ask you straight up, does this sound familiar? Is safety training in your organization just a box to be ticked? Look, if it is, you're definitely not alone. But you are leaving an incredible amount of value, and frankly, safety, on the table. So let's unpack why this whole checkbox mentality is so incredibly costly and what the alternative really looks like.
Yeah, this idea that it's all just about compliance, that's a huge myth. And to really see why, we need to talk about a story that completely rewrote the rules on how we think about safety and profitability.
This is just incredible. So back in the late 80s, the new CEO of the aluminum giant Alcoa gets up in front of his investors and says his #1 priority isn't profits, it's worker safety. And Wall Street, well, they thought he was absolutely nuts. But by focusing like a laser on creating a safe environment, he totally transformed the company's communication, its efficiency, its entire culture. And the result? The company's market value went up 9-fold. It's the perfect example that safety isn't the opposite of success. It can be the engine that drives it. Now, to really get why getting safety right is so valuable, you first have to understand the staggering cost of getting it wrong. And trust me, these numbers are absolutely eye-watering. Let's start with the big picture here. You see that number? That's $176.5 billion. That is the annual price tag for work-related injuries in the US alone. It's a number so huge, it's almost hard to wrap your head around. And it covers everything from medical bills to lost productivity. It is a massive drain on the entire economy. Okay, so that's the 30,000-foot view. But what does this mean for your company, day to day? This is where it really hits home. The National Safety Council figures that a single injury, just one that requires a doctor, costs an employer, on average, 45 grand. Think about that for a second. Preventing just one of those incidents could pay for a new hire, fund a whole project, or be a serious investment in growth.
And, in the absolute worst-case scenario, the cost is just devastating. The direct costs of a single fatality are already over $1 million. But then you start adding in all the indirect costs. We're talking legal fees, accident investigations, the damage to your reputation, training new people. That number can blow up to nearly $2.7 million. For a smaller business, a cost like that can be an existential threat.
Now, after hearing all those scary numbers, it'd be easy to feel a little defeated. But this next slide is so important because it's actually a message of hope. It gives us a sense of control. An estimated 86% of those tragic fatalities, they were preventable. This isn't about bad luck. It's about bad processes, bad training, and a bad culture. And that's something we have the power to change.
So the big question is, how do we change it? And the answer isn't just throwing more boring videos at people. It's about a deep fundamental shift in mindset, from just ticking boxes to actually building a true safety culture. This here lays it all out, the two totally different worlds. Over on the left, you've got the compliance mindset. It's reactive. It does the absolute bare minimum required by law. Safety is just another rule that gets pushed down from the top. But then you look to the right and you see a safety culture. This is proactive. It's all about getting better every single day. And the most important part? Safety becomes everyone's job. A shared responsibility from the CEO all the way to the newest person on the team. So how do you actually build this thing? Well, it really boils down to 4 key actions. First, leadership has to walk the walk. They have to set the tone. Second, you have to empower your employees to speak up if they see a hazard without fear. Third, training can't be a one-and-done thing. It has to be continuous and actually relevant to their jobs. And finally, you have to create a no-blame culture where reporting near misses is seen as a win, a learning opportunity for everybody. All right, so you do all this work. You make the investment, you build the culture. What's the payoff? Well, it's huge, and it comes in 3 really distinct and powerful ways. First up, the financial return. And what's so cool about this is just how clear the data is. OSHA and other research groups have found that for every single dollar a company puts into its safety and health programs, it gets back between $4 and $6 in return. That's a 400 to 600% ROI. I mean, good luck trying to find that kind of return anywhere else in your business. But beyond the balance sheet, there's the second payoff. And you could argue it's even more important, the human one. When your team genuinely feels that the company cares about sending them home safe every single day, it completely transforms the workplace. It builds trust. Morale goes up. Engagement goes up. And hey, in today's job market,
Having a great reputation for safety helps you keep your best people and attract new top talent.
And that brings us to our final payout. Because when you combine those financial returns with the human returns, something really powerful starts to happen. You build a real, tangible, competitive advantage out in the marketplace.
This slide paints a picture that happens every single day. Just imagine two companies are bidding for a big contract. Vendor A, well, they have a history of accidents and citations, but vendor B has a spotless safety record. Who do you think the client is going to choose? It's a no-brainer. They're going with the reliable, professional, low-risk partner every single time. A great safety record can literally win you more business. At the end of the day, your safety performance is your brand. It sends a powerful signal to clients, to investors, to customers that you are a disciplined, responsible, well-run organization. And in an era where things like ESG ratings matter more than ever, a strong safety culture is a huge statement about your company's values and its long-term viability. So let's wrap this up by making this core idea crystal clear. A safety culture isn't a program you buy or a manual you read. It's an environment. It's what happens when safety becomes a core value that's baked into every single thing a company does, from the biggest strategic decisions in the boardroom right down to the smallest actions on the front line.
So, we'll leave you with this question to think about for your own organization. After everything we've looked at today, is safety just another cost that you're forced to pay? Or is it one of the absolute smartest investments you can make? An investment that protects your people, protects your profits, and protects your future. The evidence, I think, is pretty clear. The choice is yours.